Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, She Plans, She Budgets. In today's video, we'll be going over my weekly check-in number 2, so let's get started. Alright, so I'm opened up to my calendar view for January. We already filled in my week 1, so feel free to check out that video if you haven't seen it already. So I like to check in from Sunday through Saturday, so that's what we'll be doing today from the 7th through the 13th. This video is a little bit behind, so my account balances that we check in the back technically won't match because today is the 20th of January, so I need to film week 2 and then right after that film week 3. So in week 3 my account will be balanced in real time. So over here to the right here, I have my key legend where I keep track of my various cash envelopes that are technically cashless because I don't use physical cash. I just swipe my credit card for both my cash envelopes, which are the first 6 categories, and my sinking funds. And I do that so that I can earn reward points towards direct deposit that I can cash out at any time. So my first category is gasoline. Then I have groceries, household, spending, eating out, entertainment, sinking funds, and unbudgeted. So I don't ever budget for unbudgeted. That's just a category if I do any overspending or if anything pops up that I didn't account for in my monthly budget. So the first 6 categories again are my cashless envelopes. Then I have my sinking funds, and then the last thing I track is unbudgeted. So that's what I like to have these categories represent with the various colors. And then I also have my bills laid out here, and we will track those as well. So we're going to just go ahead and get started. So I have my expenses for week 2 already laid, or not laid, but written out. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay them out. We did not use any eating out or entertainment this week, so I'm just going to take that out. But we did fill up on gas on the 11th, and that was for $40.01. I'll be trying so hard to get it 40 on the dot, but sometimes it's right below or right under, but I mean right below or right over. So 40.01 was close enough, and that again was on the 11th. And if you hear some little noise, my cat is on the left of me. He just found this the perfect time to come in here and just start doing stuff. Okay, so I filled up on gas on the 11th for $40.01. Then on the 7th, I did make my grocery run at HEB for $1.79 with 31 cents. And again, that was on the 7th. And as you know, I like to do that with my household shopping. So I also got some household items for $20.59, and that's just basically other items you would get from the grocery store that's not exactly edible. So like paper goods, did I say paper twice? Paper goods like paper towels, toilet paper is what I was trying to say, wipes, just dish soap, like things like that, like is what I would buy out of the household category. What I bought exactly on the 7th, I don't recall, but it was from HEB, and it was $20.59, and then groceries was $179.31. All right, so next out of my personal spending, so this is just for my personal, I did make 2 transactions. One was at Popeyes for $16.31. That was on the 8th. And now that I've discovered a Popeyes nearby, I've just been going to them quite a bit, and you will see that in week 3 as well. We had one in week 1, another in week 2, and you'll see more in week 3. I used to work at Popeyes. Popeyes was my second job. So my first job was working at a clothing store called Joyce Leslie's, and then Popeyes was my second job. And I thought I would get tired of eating their chicken every day since I worked there over the summer in high school, but I never did. And even now, many years later, I still love Popeye's chicken. So I've been hitting them up quite a bit since I found one near where I live. And then my next personal spending was for an Uber ride for $34.58. And that was on the 10th. And this was most likely to get home from work because this day my boyfriend took the car and I Lyft home or took an Uber ride home. And we kind of been like swapping back and forth. So like in week 3, I had the car for my 2 office days, Wednesdays and Thursdays, so I didn't have to do an Uber ride. So he took a Uber or a Lyft. So we kind of been swiping. I mean, not swiping. Dang, I'm just getting my words all mixed up in this video. I apologize because I probably will just keep it in there. But we've been swapping the car versus who takes a Uber, who takes a Lyft during my office days, just because you know, I work downtown and it does take a long time to get home just because of all the traffic and the money does rack up. He works a little closer to home, so the Lyft rides aren't as much. Our issue is just the times of when he and I both have to be to work versus when he and I have to get off. My schedule is fixed, whereas his isn't. So he kind of just has to plan ahead as best as he can. And it's just easier for me to get home just because I have a set in time. But also when we know for a fact he'll be working much later than then it's easier for me to just pick him up versus me taking a Lyft. So we're just playing it by ear week by week. And the only days of concern are Wednesdays and Thursdays because the other days I work remotely, Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. Thank God for that because whew, it's very, very convenient. Next, I have a sinking funds transaction from my health and wellness that was for $24.75. We can look in the back in my sinking funds page to see what I purchased because I do keep track of my sinking funds in a separate spread. But this was on the 7th for $24.75. And I'm pretty sure it was for like protein powder, most likely. I just don't recall, but we'll double check that. And then lastly, I have 2 unbudgeted expenses, both on the 13th. So this was the day of my friend's wedding that I believe I mentioned in previous videos that we flew back to the East Coast for. So we did a little bit of spending over this weekend between the 13th and the 14th. The 14th I will include in my next video, which will be week 3 check-in. So you'll see those expenses then. But we did have some expenses. We try to keep it low just because we knew we was funding this trip out of pocket. Not the flight and the hotel that we paid in advance a few months ahead. So those costs was already taken care of. It was just the food. Once we got there, we realized we got there pretty early. Like our flight landed earlier. So we had a lot of time to kill, about, I want to say about 4 hours to kill. So we ate lunch, of course. And we had lunch at the hotel for $57.25. That does include tip, and we just ate at the hotel just to risk not, being somewhere else too long, having to Uber or Lyft somewhere, killing too much time when we need time to get dressed, take a ride to the wedding venue. We just ate at the hotel, and then we also took a nap right after. But that morning in the airport, we did get breakfast. The plan was to make our own breakfast, but that didn't end up happening. So we purchased breakfast at the airport. I think we went to Einstein Bagels and we spent $37.42 to get some coffee, sandwiches, water, things of that nature before our flight. So that's where the 2 budgeted items came from. This was a little bit of poor planning only because like we didn't have enough to use eating out, because we be hitting up eating out as soon as we get it every month, and unfortunately eating out is not that big, so we need to start spreading our money out a little bit more. I don't really want to increase eating out. I think I just need to make us more disciplined, because at least when eating out does run out, we do try not to spend more money on food unless it's from our personal spending. But because we were out and about for preparing for this wedding, we kind of we just messed up by not cooking at home and eating before we left. I mean, for lunch, kind of couldn't get around that because it's not like you can bring food with you through the airport because they'll make you throw it out. So here, I mean, we didn't have to eat from the hotel, but we just did that out of convenience just to make sure we had time to get dressed, get ready to go, and take a nap before we left. So yeah, that was pretty much it for that. The wedding was beautiful, by the way. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was like a winter wonderland theme, and it really showed. There was so much love in the room between both families, the couple, everything. So I had a fantastic time. It was a black tie formal event, so everyone wore black, and you know, the bride and groom both wore white. So it was just really beautiful. The decor, the music, the DJ was awesome. Played a lot of I think the groom is Haitian, so you know, the music was bumping for sure. The food was good. They had past hors d'oeuvres and like food stations for the hors d'oeuvre, the cocktail hour, and then we had a sit down dinner, you know, the open bar. So it was a great time. So I'm so happy that we went. It was well worth it. So yeah, so this is what my week 2 is looking like. I'm going to go ahead and lay down my no spin stickers. I see that I have one on the 9th, which is nice because again, we starting off the year pretty rough. So we had 1 and then 2 on the 12th. So I do count the days that I have bills due as a no spin day because I'm just considering the categories right here. So if I don't spend out of these 8 categories, then I consider it a no spend day because bills got to be paid. So yeah, just the 2 for this week. And like I mentioned, this video is a little late, so yes, these bills for week 2 were paid. So the internet was due on the 10th for $60.30. That's the amount that I paid. And then my dance membership, $89, that was paid as well. So let's flip over to the monthly budget to write in the bills. So right here we have my internet. I have a C next to it because I did pay it on the credit card. So that money has to be transferred back. And then dance membership was paid out of account what was it, account number 1. So that came out of the account, so no transfer needed with this payment, but for the internet there was a credit card transfer. All right, and that is it for week 2 as far as the bills are concerned. We will check everything in my next video for week 3. Even though yes, there was a bill, 2 subscriptions, but again, we'll talk about that in the next video. All right, so let's flip over to the expense log. So this is where I keep track of all of those categories, including the unbudgeted. I didn't check them off because they were paid with the credit card, so I'll check them off once we just do all the numbers. I did like pay this already just because again, my credit card was looking crazy because I'm behind. But you'll see like what the transfer was supposed to be and all that, and basically why I just went ahead and paid it, because between week 1 and week 2 I was just like, Lord Jesus, I'm starting to feel like I'm back in debt, and I just had to get my credit card cleared up because it was just looking crazy. So for week 2 we're checking in again from the 7th through the 13th. Starting with gasoline, we know I did have one expense, and that was for the $40.01 on the 11th. So I'm going to go ahead and check that off. So you know what, let me just close this up actually. All right, so we were saying $40.01 for gasoline. For groceries, we had just a one expense as well for $179.31. So $179.31. Household was the $20.59. All right, and I'm gonna check that off. Then I had 2 personal spending, so that was the $16.31. plus the $34.58. So that's a total of $50.89. So $50.89. Eating out. No eating out. But let me check off the personal spending. And there was also no entertainment. So nothing here, nothing there. And then just add up the unbudgeted. So that was the $37.42 plus the $57.25 for a total of $94.67. Jeez Louise. $94.67. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and do this math. So last week for gasoline I had 161.69 minus 40.01, which means I should have 121 with 68 cents remaining. Groceries I have 464 with 41 cents minus the 179.31 cents, means I should have 285 and 10 cents. All right, for household 108.96 minus 20.59 means I had $88 with 37 cents. Personal spending $64.51 minus $50.89 means I have $13.62. Eating out is the same because I didn't spend anything this week, so $33.15. And entertainment is the same because again I didn't spend any money in week 2, so $80.54 remaining. And then for unbudgeted, we're ending off with negative $94.67. Woo, so week 2 is looking a little, little out there. And unfortunately, week 3 is probably worse. So that's why I'm just like, today's the 20th. I'm going to just go ahead and film that video right after this because my account's been looking like, girl, do you know what you're doing? So I need to just go ahead and face the music and just see what week 3 look like. So go ahead and stay tuned for my next video, week 3's check-in, because girl, I don't even, at this point, I do not know what these numbers gonna look like right here. It might be all red for all I know. And I have no excuse. I was being a bad budgeter this week, and yeah, we're gonna just see how it is. I hope it's better than I'm thinking, but I feel like I might have did too much week 3. But all right, so let's get our total for week 2. So in total, we spend 40.01 plus 179.31 plus 20.59 plus 50.89 plus 94.67. And okay, so we spent a total of $385.47 this week. I'm actually going to subtract that 94.67 because for week 3 balance, and let me go ahead and flip there and zoom you back out. All right, so the reason why I wanted to subtract that 94.67 and have my total be the $290.80 because that is what we transferred from week 2 from our checkings account number 1 to the credit card to pay that balance off. This $94.67 does get paid, but it's going to get paid from the week 3, or not week 3, but the paycheck number 3. So I don't want to factor that in weeks 2 check-in, only because it technically didn't get paid until week 3 from paycheck number 3, just so the numbers, all add up. All right, so we got $20 or $290.80. So that's the total from cash envelopes spent in week 2. And this is our weekly balance spread right here from the 7th through the 13th. This keeps track of only checking account number 1 for the bills, cash envelopes, and miscellaneous sections. So again, I'm just going to mark minus $290 with 80 cents because that's what was charged to the card and what was paid and transferred. Again, the $94 and all that other stuff is going to show up in week 3. So for sinking funds, the only expense was the health and wellness for $24.75, and I was incorrect. It was not for protein powder. It was actually for the liquid IV that we paid for from HEB. So again, that was the $24.75, and that's all that was spent out of the sinking funds. But I do want to add in one other expense from the miscellaneous section. I don't know if anyone caught this, but in my miscellaneous section, I did add another line that wasn't included in the monthly budget video because I added this after the fact, was that $126.32 that I rolled over from December. I didn't know what to do with it, but I decided to put it towards the wedding gift that for the wedding that I attended on the 13th. So I'm just going to include that in the weeks 2 check-in. So $126.32 is not the total for the gift, it's just what I put towards it. So I'm going to add that. So $24.75 for the sinking funds plus the $126.32 for the wedding gift, because those are both from the miscellaneous section. So that was paid and transferred to the credit card. So that was a total of $151.07 that was paid and transferred. Okay, so next for bills for week 2. Week's 2 bills was a total of $60.30 plus 89 for my internet bill and my dance membership. So that was a total of $149.30. So that is the total for the bill section, $149 with 30 cents. Okay, so let's add what we spent in total for the week. So $149.30 plus $290 with 80 cents plus $151.07 equals $591.17. So minus $591 with 17 cents. And subtracting that from our starting balance of $2,851.82 means we are ending the week off with $2,260.65. So that was the number that I ended the week 2 off with, and that's what I want this to say, which is why again I'm holding off on subtracting the unbudgeted, and I'm just going to include it in week 3 so that my balance truly does match in real time. But let's just do the math across to make sure we still get the $22.60 with 65 cents. So for bills for week 2, I started with $348 with 8 cents minus the $149.30 gives me a balance of $198 with 78 cents. All right, and then for cash envelopes, I started off with $913.26 minus $290 with 80 cents leaves me with $612 or $622 with 46 cents. And then lastly, for miscellaneous, started with $50.90 with 48 cents minus the $151.07, and that leaves me with $1,439 with 41 cents, and that should represent only the sinking funds because now we took out the extra that was in the miscellaneous section. So we didn't budget for unbudgeted, so there was nothing there to begin with. Another reason why I want to hold off on that transfer, because it would technically pull out of sinking funds, and I don't want to do that. We're going to just take some money from paycheck number 3, include it in the income line so that it can take care of the take care of the budgeted that we did spend. Okay, so hopefully that made sense. I hope I'm not confusing anybody. So let's just go ahead and do the math going down, because we're looking for that $22.60 with 65 cents. So again, 198 with 78 cents plus 622 with 46 cents plus 1439 with 41 cents. And yes, we get the $2,260 with 65 cents. And that's what account 2 was looking like at the time, but we're going to see what it looks like right now in week 3 for my next video. So please stay tuned for that. And I'm going to just go ahead and check this off because that was taken care of. All of this is good. All of this is good. And then we're just going to go ahead and move on to week number 3. And let me check off the health and wellness. All right, and we're going to leave these unchecked until after week 3. Alrighty, so that is everything for today's video. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I will see you all next time. Bye.